Well, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well today. Good afternoon, Richard. How are you?
All right. How you doing? How you doing?
Doing all right. All right. I think we have an interesting topic here today. We're going to talk about. We're going to talk about robotics, machine learning, and the Internet of Things. And so, I think out of all those things that fascinate me the most is Internet of Things, because I think it pairs with some of the other items that are on the list. But what do you think about that, Richard? What do you think about those three items in our topic today?
My favorite is machine learning because the three supervised, unsupervised, and the repetitive one, the third one, because that's part of the gaming part. But I like the supervised one because it still keeps jobs going as far as because you need humans to put input. Yeah, you still need the humans to along with you need the human touch along with machine and robotics and the Internet of Things.
Right.
What would be without humans? So I like that part of it.
I always like this topic, robotics specifically, because everyone's always so worried about robots taking everyone's jobs or bots taking their jobs or things. And I always say, no, that's not the case. It just means that humans need to start coming and doing what they're meant to do, more less laborious jobs and more intellectual jobs. There's an entire array of different companies I know use robotics to manage their, automated processes. But everyone's always worried about that. They're always worried about, hey, the robots are going to take our jobs. And I'm like, no, the robots are not going to take your job. You're just going to have to evolve to a different type of position. But it's not like you're going to be removed from that company because the robot's doing something you were doing. It just keeps us healthier,
Definitely. It does the things that we don't want to do, and it's almost like a constant vocation where you're just always learning, and you're teaching the computers, and the computers are teaching you. So it's kind of learning. It's constant.
I can't name some of the companies, but I can give an example. There's a friend of mine that works for a manufacturing company, and they employ a lot of robotics to manufacture the products in their business. And so this individual, he went from being very laborious, repetitive work to doing, they call them tech positions, where they manage the assembly line, and the robots come on little, bring materials, the raw materials to the assembly line on the floor. And on the floor is these painted tracks. They're not physical tracks, they're just a line, and the robot follows it. And the robot knows, hey, when someone's in the way or if there's something in the way. And it also manages the analytics with the Internet of Things type of piece, manages the assembly line to know, hey, when do I need supplies? When do I need to get maintenance? When do I need a part changed? And it lets the human know, the techs know, hey, when do I need to go change that part out? When do I need to bring the line down for a little bit to do something? Hey, why this part's running a little hot? Maybe we need to make an adjustment. So I think there's a very symbiotic relationship between the machine type, the robot, and the data with human beings. And I think that a lot of people don't respect that. I think they're so worried about losing something, they don't see the other side. And as you've said in previous podcasts, we don't even know the jobs that we won't have, that we don't even know the jobs that will be created based upon all the technology that's currently in our world today and in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of videos that talk about we focus on the negative, but we don't appreciate the good things in between. We just take it for granted. There's a lot of that going on with if you look on YouTube, a lot of comedians talk about how we're spoiled in the technology that we take for granted, and we're always looking for the next one to solve our problem, but we never appreciate the journey in between, that we went from analog to digital, or
right.
Yeah. instead of going shopping, you can order from Amazon now and have it the same day now. So we just take technology for granted, and we're always waiting for the next instead of appreciating what we have right now. So interesting.
Yeah, as we're looking at, and I'm gonna talk about Internet of Things a little bit. There's a lot of everyday gadgets out there that use data, analyze data to help improve products or help improve circumstances. And I like to also express there's a lot of people to feel like they're being watched with this Internet of Things piece, because how often do you use your blender? How often do you use your TV? How often do you use your watch? How far do you run? But they don't realize some of the benefits. One of my favorite ones that I recently read about was about airlines. And since I travel a fair amount, I'm always interested in how the airlines are going to improve. And, humans fly the planes, and that's great. I'm glad the humans are flying the planes. But with each person, just like we all drive cars, we all handle that vehicle differently. Some of us are a little more aggressive with it. Maybe we're a little hard on the brakes. Maybe we accelerate too fast. Parts wear out when that happens. And in flight, that's a very important thing to know. So I don't remember if it was General Electric or not with their engines. They put Internet of Things inside of their engines so they could tell which pilots were more aggressive with the engines or not. And it wasn't to micromanage the pilot. I want to make sure that's clear. They did it because they wanted to make sure they knew when to maintenance the engine. So if the engine was normally had to be maintained after 20,000 air miles, as an example, maybe certain pilots put a little extra strain on it just naturally, and maybe it needs to be maintained at 15,000 air miles, as an example. So that built a level of safety that wasn't there before. And they're looking at, the pattern and saying, okay, well, we can make the sky safer by making sure the parts are replaced in a timely fashion based upon how they get worn during true use, not by a guesstimated use. Wouldn't it be amazing to know when to change your oil? Then instead of saying, 3,000 to 5,000 miles, it was a really, really hot day and that makes the oil not work as well. Just as a guesstimation, maybe we should change it to 2,000 miles. I think that's a really kind of neat perspective for Internet of Things, of how it handles and manages just keeping us safe and building a better quality life for us as humans.
Yeah, it keeps us connected. I like that.
I surmise that we're going to be using some of these techniques, obviously, in our learning platform. And machine learning. When we go and look at how a user will go and perform in a game that teaches them something through an education platform, to help improve the platform and also to build a customized experience for that specific gamer or that user or that e-learner, utilizing this technology, machine learning and Internet of Things, I think will greatly improve how people are able to learn. Because as we've talked in some of our other previous podcasts, traditional learning is we're going to learn this specific math or this specific science or this specific social studies, and everybody is sitting in class and they're all learning the same thing at the same pace at the same time. And I don't know anybody out there that can learn the same thing at the same pace at the same time. We get close. So if every person had their own customized experience for learning as a whole would I think accelerate for some and become a level of quality for others that wasn't there. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think because that's what we're trying to change the word career into more project. Because they said in the future by 2025 or 2027, the generation Gen Z and Generation Alpha are going to be doing more freelance or contract work So they're not going to be basically working for a corporation at a job for years and years. It's just going to be project based, where they're just doing jobs for this project, for this company, and then offering their skill, building up their skill and their portfolio to advance more and more to bigger things. And I think that's important. When we talked about by 2027, they said like 65% of the jobs that will be doesn't exist right now. So those are the type of projects we're looking at to help develop the next, the next inventor, the next Edison, and the next, Elon Musk, from this generation that we're trying to help out. So I think it's important, and I think that having the machine learning part, the reinforcement part, is important, because as you develop a new invention, as you're learning, you get input from the companies, input from educators, you develop it, and it's like it's a triangle, it's like a loop, where that's how you create more advanced, more advanced projects like that. So I think that's important. And the internet, and like I said, and the Internet of Things provides that for us, faster.
I think that there's, and you mentioned a triangle. We'll mention a triangle a lot in our discussions. It's a circular type path. It always is. It's you're giving and taking, in the way it's designed, where it's analyzing what people are looking for, giving their input, just like we ask about everybody giving input about what we talk about, or about how to improve our process or our topics, giving input into what they like to learn, or what they want to see in a student, or what types of things they need to be taught in order for them to enter their project-based path or career path. And I think that's really important. But inside of our topic today, we can also gather insights without having that direct interaction with that company. If that company gives us some information saying, hey, here's our part of our machine learning, this is some of the things we learn from people using our products, this is how we need to support our groups better. They can provide data from their ItO, or from their the machine learning pieces as well.
I think it's important, because of what we're trying to do with the triangle, with the educators, the industries, and our students, is that it can start from anywhere. The student can have an idea and say, hey, educators, hey, companies, what do you think of this? The educators can say, hey, this is the problem we need to solve. What's the solution? What do you think of this as being the solution? And also industries, they're especially the ones that are advanced technology and environmental, trying to solve our environmental issues. Cutting edge stuff like cloud brightening, and I always mention the graphene battery to store for storage for wind and solar. So that one of those three in the triangle is going to come up with it. So it doesn't matter where it starts, but we want to keep that collaboration going. So that's what where machine learning and the Internet of Things are very important, and of course robotics.
So I mean, we always think about robotics in the aspect of it being a physical machine that does things, or we're going to send a robot out to do a dangerous task, and essentially a drone is a robot in a certain way, send a drone out to do whatever task. But robots, in my world, I would say, aren't physical entities. They're digital entities. They're designed to help provide that learning in these two other buckets. And I think that we're going to have a fair amount of robotic, responses, in our system. as we're going along here. And I don't know if you agree with that statement or not, Richard. What most people I think feel that, robots are physical, but they don't have to be.
No, they're it's part of the software. It's the sensors and it's the physical also. It's all three. Yeah. So yeah. And since we're talking about robots, the other part about robotics is there's a robotic company that makes it's called Legacy Robotics, and what it does is it and it helps with sustainability too, is that it works with existing industries right now. So it's just basically an add-on, or it helps productivity. Instead of having to tear things down and build new, you use what we have existing. And of course, you still need the people to teach the robots how to do that, and you increase productivity, and you produce more. And like I said, it helps with sustainability because you're not tearing things down and creating waste. You're actually, so that legacy, legacy robotics is important. And like you said, the other part of it is the software and the sensors and the stuff that we don't think about being robots.
There's one thing you said there that I think is really kind of interesting to maybe dig into, is that humans have to program all this stuff.
Yes.
That we don't have a sentient AI that goes along and makes all these things for us.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about AI in the past, but when you look at humans making machine learning or Internet of Things or robotics, right? And you mentioned, looking at people's productivity. So a human has to decide what is the level of productivity that is acceptable for a company, right? And then it has to come along and say, okay, we're going to program that level of productivity. Once upon a time, I used to work for Arch Donnelly way back when, we didn't have as powerful computers and things like that. And we designed graphic design ads. And if I remember correctly, we had to produce 4 ads a day or 4 ads an hour, to be within the realm. And the size of the ad mattered. If you had a big ad, it might be 2 ads an hour. If you had a full page, you might get 2 hours to do that. If you were doing a little tiny dinky, 1/16 size ones, you might have to produce 5 of those an hour. And the way they manage that is there was a database. You would just log in. They would hand you a physical docket that had the information, and the computer would give you the template. The template was created by another person, in a different department. Well, you'd have to put this thing together. When you were done, you pushed a button. Once you pushed the button, that's how the machine knew that you were clocking in and out of that project. So it could say, okay, well, Steven hit the button 5 times, and the ad went out, got reviewed, and came back, and oh yeah, he has a 98% accuracy. So there was a lot of human beings involved in that process. It wasn't automated. It sounds automated the way I was explaining it, but it literally was a storage system. It was in and out. When once you did one job and went in, then another person would pick it up and look at it, and then they would put it back, and there was a metrics built around it. Now, we would probably say at this moment in time, being that was the early 2000s, that the metrics is pretty rudimentary, how that works, but yet that metrics was designed around a human being. So how do you feel about, a lot of times it's one human being making this decision too, mind you, it's not a group of people. So how do you feel about that? In the aspect of, we have a bunch of machines that are supposed to be monitoring what we do. And sometimes the decisions on how those machines make decisions are down to maybe 1 or 2 people that came up with those ideas of what they're supposed to be providing as good metrics.
Okay. That brings up I heard a quote. This is for AI, but the quote is AI, or you can say technology. I like the quote, that maximizes the freedom of action. And I think that it has to come from a community of individuals, and it should be like a competition or a co-opetition where you have an idea, I have an idea, somebody else has an idea, we implement it and put it out, see what the community says about it. And they either speak with their dollars or their usage of what we're trying to do. And that's how you come up with, and of course, and you can put that in an algorithm and the results of the data of the community will decide what.
I think that a community of people making decisions has a lot of merit to making better decisions. We have a sense to kind of manage each other. And where I'm going with this is where is the flaw in it? Because there is a flaw someplace.
Okay.
Which creates the fear of going back to what I said, at the very beginning. People feel like everyone at these machines, robots, all these different pieces of technology are taking away our jobs. I hear it all the time. The robots are going to take away our jobs. We don't need this any more tech because it's going to take away our factory jobs. It's going to take away our laboring type jobs. And then you have people saying, well, that robot doesn't do this any better than I did, or does it worse than I did. In a lot of cases, the ones that do really well are the ones that are tested out really well, and they have collaborative. So I guess my question is, do you have any kind of trepidation about whether machines have the right guidance to make good decisions? Meaning, is there enough human beings helping make sure that these things work correctly?
Yeah.
Because they're not necessarily using the triangle that you developed, to analyze information.
That's a good question. And I guess that brings up the reason why I'm interested in futurists talking about different projects. The circular city just happens to be our project. And if you agree with our concept or what we're trying to do, we're trying to build the platform, and we need your input to add to that platform. And it may work for us in Tampa or in New York or whatever, but then somebody else has their own project and their own thing they're doing, and that might work for them. So it's just like any other community or city, is that it's different in Tampa than it is in in New York or So I think, like I said, I think I kind of missed a question, but and then I guess your statement that the person that says that the computer's not doing the AI isn't doing it correctly, I can do it better. Well, we need that person to say, okay, how do we do that better? And then you have a new project, a new individual coming in with a project to put out to the community, and it gets tested and see if we're always improving. And the good thing about all this technology that we're talking about, it allows us to take the time to worry about other things to solve while the menial things are being taken care of. So.
I think that it's important. We've seen a lot of it this year. I don't maybe more than ever, but I would say we've seen it this year where people have had disagree a lot more. I'll just put it that way. And it's okay to disagree because that's how we solve challenges. But I think that, to your point, if something isn't working in a technological base, it's good to hear what those people feel, because something that fits one company as a technological solution may not completely fit in another company because of how it handles the information or how that company works. Every business is different. Even if it's a business that does the same thing as a different one. If two plumbers work differently, two electricians have a different finesse of how they just go about doing their work, and that's where you get in the conversation. Well, that robot didn't do that job right. because that robot didn't do it the way I do it, is really what that person's saying. And so to your point, I think that, and it goes with code as well. I think that's important for a person that has a disagreement on how something works to say, hey, by the way, it'd be really neat if it did this, because this would be really helpful, and not do it this way.
Mhm.
And likewise, I think it's important for the people programming or developing or designing or engineering these things to have an open mind to say, yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
It's sort of in the realm of, I would say, conflict resolution. Everyone, I feel like everyone's a little bit defensive when it comes to certain topics. When someone doesn't agree with how they do something, they become very defensive, because they created that, or they built that, or they designed that. And we're humans, we're flawed. That's the way we are. And I think that's important that we listen, because it only helps us build better tools. And one of those tools is the Internet of Things, which is one of the great listening years of the current, decade, is to listen to all the little pieces that go along with how others use those devices and work with those devices, so they can make the devices better, last longer, be more efficient whatsoever. So
Interesting.
it's an exciting time.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And um, I don't. Hmm. Like I said, I'm more optimistic about, because I'm a technology nerd. So I guess I'm more optimistic about, um, even though I'm an old guy. Yeah, like I said, I'm really optimistic, but especially, um, I'm hopeful for like I said, Gen Z and Generation Alpha, because all they know is technology. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and they grew up more cooperative compared to my generation, and yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, like I said, I think they'll be more cooperative, and like I said, the thing we're just gonna, like I said, I've been emphasizing, is just we need their individual talents, and we want to enhance that, and bring it out, that it's not, yeah, you can change the future, you can, yeah, you can have the future that you want, kind of thing. So
I think that that's a great place for us to come to a conclusion, is that you do have the ability to carve your future more now than you ever did. There's so many tools out there, and there's so many different types of careers, and so many different types of ventures to have, and so many different things to create that haven't been created yet.
mhm.
And, we have so much information sitting at our fingertips that we never had back, you know, 30 years ago, without having tremendous amount of research. We have tools at our disposal now using these three topics that allow us to make and create things. So I would love to hear, I know Richard would love to hear, what kind of stuff are you thinking about? What kind of stuff are you looking to create? What kinds of challenges are you looking to solve? Business wise, or socialistic, futuristic ways. And we like to hear that. We like to have those as part of our discussion. So feel free to hit our comments below. Tag us on Facebook, tag us on YouTube, and please comment on our website, prefecturespg.com.
Yeah, I just want to add that Kaylee's our game AI for our game platform, and we want to look on our website and look at our characters, but we want to see what you think about Kaylee. And Kaylee is only going to be good in the game as we hear from you to input stuff in there. Yeah. So we need, like I said, we need your feedback. We need you to know what you think about our circular city, and what it can provide. Yeah. in a learning environment to solve our advanced technology issues and the environment issues we want to help. So let us know.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you for watching our podcast. Subscribe to our channel. Let us know what you think and what you would like us to talk about next. Don't forget to check out our website at prefectureisp.com.